Hello there. So I am currently inviting in our guest for today, which I'm really excited about. So if you're already here, in just a second. I hope that you're having a great day. And yay, there we are. Perfect. Hey, Michael.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm all right. I'm awake, so that's a good start.
Yes, that's an excellent start. And it's great to see people joining. Welcome, welcome. I'll just let you know who I am real quickly. I'm Lorrie Rivers, and I am the founder of the Long COVID and ME CFS Holistic Healing Summit, in addition to the online relief and transformation course. And, I have my own story of severe ME CFS, and so I know what you're going through. And it's super sucky, and I'm so sorry for that. But we find these highlights, these people like Michael, uh, who can inspire us and, help us look for the good stuff. And just another real quick plug, next month, I'm going to be interviewing some sex therapists about sex, pleasure, intimacy when you have these illnesses, especially the ones with post-exertional malaise, because it's so difficult already anyway, and then you add that in, and I feel like it's just not really talked about very much. So today actually is all about Michael, though. So Michael, welcome again.
Thank you.
And yeah, yeah, and I'm just going to read a quick bio here if you're not familiar with Michael, aka CFS Superhero. He lives with severe myalgic encephalomyelitis / chronic fatigue syndrome, along with, of course, related conditions, right? POTS, MALS, TOS, fibromyalgia, among others. Lots of fun stuff. And Chronic Fatigue Superhero is his first book, which looks to bring humor into the lives of fellow chronic illness warriors, while also sharing advocacy for a condition still rarely understood by the mainstream. So yeah, Michael, I've been looking forward to this so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll get to the book in just a bit. The book is awesome. I've been going through it. But could you tell us first about your background and how you came to be diagnosed with ME/CFS?
Yeah, so basically, as a kid, I felt pretty normal, pretty healthy, nothing too out of the ordinary. Um, but basically, when I was about 15, um, just overnight, I don't even really know what it was, just overnight, I literally couldn't get out of bed. And I figured, okay, I've caught a virus or something, but I still, to this day, don't even know what it was. I just literally woke up one day at 15 and just couldn't get up. And I just felt so fatigued and so sick, and my heart was racing out of nowhere. I'd always been very active and, been good at running and things like that. So it was a very strange and scary thing. Um, but it kind of, over the years, it kind of like dissipated a bit just on its own. I never really knew what it was, but even though it kind of went away, it never really went away. I was always living with limitations. I always knew that I couldn't do what everyone else could do. I always knew that, like, when I would go bike riding with my friends, my heart would race like crazy, really quick, and I'd be out of breath. I just couldn't do what everyone else could do. So I could kind of fake a normal life to an extent for a very long time. But from the day I was 15, I was never properly better. I could pretend to be better around people, and I did a really good job of pretending to be okay, and I think no one noticed for a very long time. And it was really about 7 years ago when I hit 30 that all of a sudden I couldn't pretend anymore, because the same thing kind of happened again, but this time it just never got better, and it was so much more severe than the first time. So it was kind of like round two, but everything was so much more extreme. I literally went to work one day and halfway through like I knew I was really fatigued, but halfway through the day I lost the ability to even walk. And it was really strange, like to not have the energy to move my legs and to have to go home halfway through the day unable to walk. And again, I figured, oh, okay, I've caught like a really bad bug or something, and I'll be okay in a few days. And a few days turned to weeks and then months. And it wasn't until, at least 4 months that I really thought this isn't getting any better.
Right.
Because the whole time I really just did think it would go away. I'd had it before when I was younger, and I thought, oh, this will, it's a few months and it will pass. It's like post-viral fatigue, which I know a lot of people get, and it passes. So I figured for a long time it would pass, and I was like trying to be really patient. But after a few months, it just kept getting worse and worse and worse, no matter what I tried. And I had doctors just say, go back to work, and if you rest, you won't get better. So just go back to work. And I'd go back to work, and again, I'd lose the ability to be able to move. So it was extremely disabling. So mostly I had to do a lot of research myself, because there wasn't too many people that were helpful. A lot of doctors had a lot of opinions that were quite ridiculous, that didn't really match up with reality or what I was actually going through. And a lot of them would just like, go on a bike ride, go on a run, you'll be right.
Yeah.
And at first I was trying these things, but it just, it wasn't getting better.
Yeah. When did you get your diagnosis?
So then, basically, I did a lot of the research myself, found some people that were interested in that area, and I saw a few doctors there, and they basically confirmed that diagnosis, confirmed particularly the POTS was a big thing for me because I'd had this fast heart rate that didn't make sense with anxiety because it was only when I stood up. So it didn't make sense with anxiety because it wasn't just this constant thing and that I couldn't calm down. It was literally like I'd sit down and I'm fine magically. So I saw a doctor that within like 5 minutes was like, you have POTS, I'll prove it to you, and did it. And that was like after 15 years of people telling me it was anxiety. Within 5 minutes, he got it. So that was tough to hear, but it was nice to understand finally like what everything was.
Yes. Yes, yes. I mean, you don't want to get a diagnosis of ME/CFS or POTS or whatever, but at least it's something it's still not tangible and that it's very difficult to, you still don't know what's causing it maybe, and you still don't know how to address it, but at least there's a name for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was kind of, it is like that. It's like bittersweet. It's like, you don't want a condition, but it's nice to understand what's going on. But then there is that next step of, why is this going on?
Yeah.
And that's the fun part.
Yeah. 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 So, my next question was going to be, what have been some of your biggest challenges since being diagnosed? But I kind of want for us to take a look at the book for that, because I think that, and I'm so used to using Zoom and doing screen sharing. So I can't actually show people, these different things, but your book is so great because you're going through these issues that everybody with with CFS, with ME, with POTS is dealing with. And, one of my favorites that I just ran across was you as the superhero, flying above a cloud, and then, the little bubble coming out of your head says, my gosh, that cloud looks so comfortable right now.
Yeah.
Really love. Yeah. So what are some of your favorite pieces, your favorite comics, I don't know what you call them, that are in your book? I know that might be putting you on the spot a little bit.
No.
Like the favorite movie is or favorite color is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you forget every movie you've ever watched.
Right.
I do love that one. I like the the cloud one. That's one of the first ones that I ever drew. I think it was like the fifth one that I drew. It's kind of funny. It's the only one where he's wearing a cape, so it doesn't match with the rest. I never gave him a cape because I was too tired to draw a cape. That's literally the only reason. But in that one, he has the cape.
Yeah, and
And
you have that one that says, oh, you actually explain why there's no
yeah,
cape.
yeah.
Because he's
I
pulling
went
it
back.
up and he's like, too tired.
That's one of the last ones I drew. I was like, because a lot of people ask me that, like, why doesn't he have a cape? And I'm like, I was too tired to draw a cape, so I drew a comic about him being too tired to wear it because it's so true. But I love that cloud one. I think that's relatable. I feel like if I was a superhero with chronic fatigue and flying around, I'd look at the cloud and go, oh my gosh, I need a rest. My favorite, I have probably two different types of favorites in the book. One's like my actual favorite, which is because it's really sweet. And it's pretty much the last one in the book where there's like a wheelchair involved. And I think that's a really, really sweet one. It's the only one with him in a wheelchair. And again, people ask me why there's not more in the wheelchair. If you imagine being as exhausted as I am trying to draw a wheelchair, it's not easy. It's actually the most difficult thing I've ever drawn in that book was that wheelchair. It took me like 2 weeks to draw, and I was like, I can't do any more with the wheelchair. So there's one of him in the wheelchair, and I think it's my favorite because I think it's the sweetest one. I think it's the one with the most heart. But my funniest one, the one that I think maybe is the funniest, is one about a guy who says he's been abducted by aliens, and he says, superhero, you've got to help me because the aliens, they abducted me and they probed me and they prodded me and they did all these humiliating things to me on the table. And superhero says, the same thing happened to me today, but mine was at my gastroenterologist. And that was like, when I came up with that, I was laughing for like all day. I just thought that was the funniest. And that's like my favorite one. Because it's so true. Like you hear about people, with alien experience, and like they prodded me and they probed me and they did humiliating. They laid me on a cold table, and I'm like, well, we get that a lot actually. At a lot of our medical appointments. So
yeah.
we understand.
One alien abduction over recurring specialist appointments. Yeah.
Yeah. It's very similar as well to, a tilt table test. Like they lay you on a table and, move you up and down. It's very much like an alien abduction experience. So I really love that one. But I love all. They all have a story behind them, which I love as well. There's always somewhere that they've all come from, which is nice. So
as I was reading through this, I actually was having an idea that maybe you and I can follow up on, and we'll see if our people here are interested in it, but going through and kind of annotating each one. I mean, it would take a while, but it's just an idea. I think it would be really interesting.
I do want to add something like that to it. I'd love to tell. There are interesting stories behind each one, and there's a lot of very hidden things in them as well that a lot of people don't notice.
Oh, that's cool.
I've got like little hidden captions in the background and stuff like that.
I noticed the cricket that you have for all the open ones, which I really like. So y'all have got to get the book. How many of you out there who are with us right now have the book? Give us like a thumbs up or something and let us know, or you can comment or whatever. I
got a few good people on here who I know have it. Dave just said the cat in the comments.
Yeah.
I don't own a cat. I never have. But I did the second comic. I think it was the second comic I ever drew. There was a cat in the tree, and she says, "Superhero, can you help me get the cat out of the tree?" I don't even remember the joke. It's like right in front of me. Oh, he says, "Climb a tree, please. I'm still working on just getting the fridge open."
Right.
And then in the next comic, I just had the idea that it would be really funny if the cat was still up in the tree. So I did it still up in the tree in the very next comic. And then somehow it just became a running joke through the book. And I think that cat is in like maybe 10 comics. He's just randomly in the background or hiding behind somewhere or under the table. So somehow that became a running joke. But yeah, I don't actually
That's
have a cat. I don't know why, but it just became a thing I did.
yeah, yeah, that's amazing. So how did you come to create it? Were you just doodling, or did you have a fully formed thought of, gosh, I want to capture this somehow, or yeah, how was that?
It it
Pooping.
David just said the cat's pooping in one. That's true.
Oh my gosh.
Pooping in
Awesome.
the yard. This is actually in the book. It's at the very back. This is actually the first. If you scroll to the very first post on my page, it's that very first one I drew. It was never meant to be. It's very rough and it looks terrible to be honest, but it was never meant to be a book or anything. This was just the first sketch that I ever did. It was just a basic outline. His arms are really warped. It was never even meant to be put online. It was just an idea that I had. It's almost to the day 6 years ago that it came to me. It was my first day of my life where my condition was so severe that I couldn't get out of bed. And it was a terrifying day for me. And I had a lot of stress and anxiety in the morning, especially. And I think as the afternoon went on and I sort of slowed down a little bit, I just had this idea of someone that was a superhero and like wanted to help everybody, but just was unable to. And for some reason, I thought that was funny and very relatable. I feel like a lot of people with this condition are very empathic, very caring, and you know, my inbox is evidence. Like I have people that are severely unwell messaging me to make sure I'm okay, and that's like what everyone is like with this condition is they're all superheroes that want to help and that want to be there for everybody but can't. So I felt like that was funny and relatable as well to everybody because I think that a lot of people with this condition are like that. They want to help everyone but they can't. But I just thought, let's. I was struggling so badly, and I thought let's just make it funny. I know that sounds a bit weird, but it's the way that I've always coped. I had a very rough upbringing, a very abusive upbringing, which is putting it mildly. And I think I always coped through my childhood with imagination and with humor. It was the one thing that kind of protected my mind, I think, through my childhood. And so it was the one place I went to, I think, when I was having my worst day of my life to sort of, let's have a laugh about this. Let's not get, too serious. And, so I drew that and I put it online, and it was never supposed to be a book, and it was never really supposed to be even seen. And somehow I just got a really good response to it, which I wasn't expecting. I thought people might be upset by it. But it's done with sensitivity and done by someone who knows what it's like. So thankfully, I haven't had any negative feedback about it, which is great. So I just kept going, and eventually, a few years ago, I was like, I've got a lot here, so let's make it a book.
Amazing.
But
Oh,
originally, I still have the old folder. Originally, it was these. They were just done with pencil, so these are all the original ones, and yeah, they're done just with pencil, and then I thought, oh, let's make it a book. So I actually had to redo them all digitally, which took me a long time, but I got there.
yeah. Oh my gosh. And what you were saying about how people with this illness, they are those people who want to help other people. And the
Mm,
fact they're messaging you and, asking if you're, how you're doing and all that good stuff. That's amazing. And I
yeah.
don't know, somebody just said, hello, brother, something like that. So,
Hello, everybody.
yeah. So, um, yeah, I love hearing about that. And I love seeing the origins of the
Yeah.
book as well. And do you find that creating that comic book helps you personally creating those comics?
Yeah, it's been hi Mirta. I just hope I pronounced that name properly. Um um yeah, absolutely. I think it's been a huge thing for me. I'm still in a very like in a moderate severe category, you'd say. A lot of my day I'm severe. In the morning like this, I have a few hours where I can, pretend to be a bit more normal. So I'm still quite in that range, but it's really beautiful to be able to put something out there that's bringing joy and bringing humor to people that, like, it's not an easy life to live. It's really not. I've been able to, get used to it, I guess. You get used to certain things and you learn how to live with certain things. And I've gotten really good at that. But, sometimes, it's not easy. You miss out on a lot. So to be able to put something out there and connect with, I've met some incredible people just on this account. This account was never meant to be a big account or about me. I didn't put up a photo of myself for like 4 years. It was just drawings. And that was a huge deal to even do that. But I had met so many incredible people, and that's really been rewarding as well. I've had people on here that have been good friends for like 5 years. Some people come and go, some get better, and you lose track of them, and some go off and do something else. But there's some people that I've known for so many years here that have just always supported me, and that's been incredibly rewarding, and it's something that I didn't set out to get, or something that I didn't expect.
Yeah. And I was talking with in the long COVID and ME/CFS Holistic Healing Summit, I was talking with one of the doctors, and her daughter actually has some similar illnesses. And she brought something up that I thought was really interesting, and it speaks to, what you were just saying, and that's that when we've been ill for so long, you forget that that's not normal, which you really have to a certain degree just to cope with it, right? Just to live.
Yeah.
But yeah, we think that it's normal because it's normal for
Yeah.
us. So I think it's a double-edged sword there,
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is. It's hard. It's yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, I can't even remember what I was going to say. It's all good.
Okay. I was going to ask what some of your best management, managing symptoms and coping strategies are.
I think for me, a lot of the secondary stuff, which is the struggle. I always say to people, like, I'm not the person that can tell you how to get better, but I am the person that can tell you how to live with it. There's plenty of people that can tell you how to get better, maybe, but definitely, like, my expertise, I guess, is like how to. Someone just said feeling like crap. How to feel like crap and like kind of be okay with it, which I think is an important first step. I don't think you can heal or get better unless you're kind of okay with it first, and not okay in a way like when people hear that they think I'm talking about giving up. It's not about giving up, but I think like for me, a huge like turning point was to not struggle anymore with it, and that's not easy. It comes with time and a lot of error, but it chews valuable energy. So it's not like, oh, if you just stress less and meditate, you'll get better. That's not it. But it's just our energy is so valuable and we have so little of it. And if we are getting really upset and really anxious about things, that is taking away all the energy we have. And that's what happened to me when I was, I got to a state where I was having paralysis, and where I had to get all my nutrients by liquid. I couldn't talk, walk, speak. I said that. I couldn't sit up, and I think like when that happened, it became so stressful. It was the most stressful experience of my life because it was like, I can't move. That can't not be stressful. So it's a natural thing, but it took me months to realize I might have 5% energy, but that 5% is going all to stress. And so if I can just be okay with what's going on here, I'll have that 5% back. And that was a huge shift for me in that, I'm not better and I'm not like healed, that 5-10% that I was using to be stressed, I now have to do something like this, because now I've accepted where I am. I've accepted that the life that I had is gone. It doesn't mean that I can't create something better. It doesn't mean that there's not something better out there for me, but the life that I had is gone, and that's okay. And where I wake up in it, like every day, is where I am. That's it. And I work every day to make something better, but everything before is gone. And letting go of that was a huge part of acceptance, I think.
That is so big. That is so big. Bohan, if you would, you can DM me if you'd like to. That's fine, and I'll try to get to that tomorrow. So yeah, you know, I remember actually that I reached a certain point as well, and I think that it was about 5 years into a severe, because I was also paralyzed at points as well, which is really weird. Um, but you can, so anyway, I got to this place where I realized that I was constantly giving my body messages that were making it freak out even more, you know,
Mm,
because I would be sitting there and just thinking, oh my God, I'm dying. Oh my God, I'm dying. Oh my God, I'm dying, over and over again. And, you know,
mm,
thinking all the horrible things that were happening in my body or could be happening in my body, even though I didn't really know exactly what it was. And, you know, it feels like my cells are
mm,
turning inside out and all those things. And I
mm.
finally just said, all right, I've got to change that. Because like you
Yeah,
said, you know, when you're stressing yourself out like that, um, it, it's not helping anything. It's causing this, you
yeah,
know, this stress response basically, which means that cells literally aren't able to get nutrients or let out toxins.
yeah.
So yeah, so similar thing. I finally said, hey, whenever I start to have a freak out like that, I'm just going to start telling myself a different story. And that's
Mm,
that, you know, it's not that I'm 100% well. It's not anything like that. It's just, hey, you know what? My body is taking care of itself right now.
mm.
It's doing
Yeah.
what it knows to do, you know? And I know that that's not going to work for everybody, but, and
I
everybody
think
finds
it's,
their way, right? Right?
yeah, I think it's hard, like, when you're in that severe state, um, it's very difficult with the mind, I think, because it's like you can't distract yourself. And, people will say, oh, read, or, I'd see people saying, oh, when I'm in a flare, I watch Netflix. And I remember reading this at the time, and I was so ill that I could not watch 1 minute of TV. I could not listen to music. I could not read. And all you have is your mind. And I remember just sitting there with my mind and just go, I need to clear this up. I kind of used the analogy of like clearing weeds out of a garden, because I was stuck in my head. And so because I couldn't distract myself, I had to make my head a healthy place to be. And that was a huge focus of being that way, because I could not distract myself anymore. There was no like distraction. I was forced to spend time in my brain. So I was like, the only way through this is to make my brain a good place to hang out, like a healthy garden without weeds. And that was what a lot of that was for me, was clearing out the weeds and making myself someone that I could spend time with in a healthy way. And not, like you said, it's just, if you're stressed, always stressed, you can't get out of that state. You can't. It's like it's the first thing that you've got to free up that energy, and you've got to make sure you understand. And it's not easy, but that you're safe. Like, you're feeling horrible, things are terrible, but you're okay. Like, you are safe. Stressing won't change where you are. So, you've got to be able to clear that out. I think that was really important for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. Awesome. I just want to say hi to Becky and to Andrea, I think posted earlier that she is an MECFS warrior from Chicago. And then we have Emily as well. So welcome, welcome,
Emily
welcome.
Kate, who just joined, I've known her for 5 years. So
Oh,
that's one of the people that I've known for like 5 years on here. Has been a good friend. She's incredible. So yeah, there's a lot of really lovely people that I've met over the year. A lot of people I met over the last year since I released the book are incredible, and some people who've been here from the start. There's a lot of really cool people on.
Amazing. Amazing. And I do find that especially in these communities where you're dealing with something that is so difficult and so misunderstood, and actually to that point real quickly, I'll come back to that in just a second. I I ran across, so I work with Court Johnson of Health Rising sometimes, do
Yeah.
interviews with him as well. And he posted an article several years ago, I think it was 2015, about quality of life for people with ME/CFS. And I think that people with ME/CFS as well sometimes can sort of marginalize what they're dealing with also. A
Mm.
lot of that is because of how the world has not treated it as something that's serious. But anyway, in that article that Court posted, they did studies on quality of life, and these are like scientific studies. It's actually a medical term basically. And what they found was that the average person with ME/CFS, it's actually rated, the quality of life is actually rated below having a bleeding ulcer, like an actively bleeding ulcer, below someone dealing with cancer, below all these things that are taken so much more seriously
Mm.
than ME/CFS. So yes, so I think that we have these wonderful communities where we can support each other and can because people understand each other and where they're coming from. And I very much appreciate what you do, because you do keep a positive bent to everything, and bringing
Yeah.
in that humor as well is so important, because I know sometimes you can go into some of the support groups and it's like, oh, it's
Yeah.
a bit much.
I think that was I think that was a big thing I missed out before about starting the book as well. And there's I think on that day where I was bedridden, I was looking for answers. My first day that I couldn't get out of bed, and so I was looking for answers. And geez, the forums can be a dark place to go when when it's your first day being bedridden, and you just read everybody saying, you can never get better, and like anyone who get better is a liar, and like, and I said this before, but like changing the goalpost, like you can be sick for 10 years, you can be paralyzed and bedridden, but the minute you get better, oh, you never really had it, and that's so
Yeah,
disrespectful to someone who's lost 10 years of their life to, and their family and their house, and the minute they get better, it's like, oh, well, if you got better, then you didn't have it. And it's like, that's a ridiculous goalpost, because
yeah,
that's so, I mean, people get better from cancer, people get better from heart disease. It might not be statistically high, but there's a way, people have gotten better from every illness in history at some point. So it's absurd to say that you cannot get better. You might be able to say it's not statistically great, but you can't, to read people saying that as if they're the expert, and, people will project their experience to everyone else and go, well, I can't, so you can't. And that's ridiculous. So I saw a lot of that, and I just thought, oh gosh, I've got to put something a bit nicer out there. And I think that there is a place for showing, like you said, a lot of people don't understand in the outside world what we're going through. So I think there's a real place for showing the reality of the condition and the harshness of the condition. But I also think that there's a need for something else in there as well, to show that, yeah, our lives are different. Our lives may not be what we want them to be, but there's still humor and there's still beautiful things in every day. I can be, when I was extreme and stuck in bed, and all I had out my window was these beautiful sunsets. And when I didn't have a beautiful sunset, sometimes there would just be a bird, and like maybe all I had in one day was just this bird to look at, and that is a beautiful thing. There's a beautiful thing every day, They're not as, noticeable when you're stuck at home, but there's something beautiful in every day. And that's what I want to focus on, is the humor in every day and the light in every day. And even if it's just someone messaging you on Instagram to make sure you're okay, there's still something beautiful to be had every day. And that's what I want to focus on. So it's not to take away from the seriousness of it. I think there's a real place for advocating for how serious this condition is and how bad it can be. But I think I want to put something into, a lot of people are doing that, that's fine. But I just wanted to put my own thing into this space that was, let's focus on that one beautiful thing that we can have every day.
I want to sit with that for a second. Yeah, absolutely love that. And I think that that's one of the gifts, shall we say, of this kind
Yeah.
of, is that your priorities change by necessity, of course, but also that your appreciation for things, for those little things, grows a lot.
Yeah. I told a story to a good friend of mine the other day, that I'd like to tell. Just reminds me of this, is that, we do get an appreciation, I think, for the things that people don't notice. And I remember it was about a year after being just completely paralyzed and bedridden. One of my first wellness goals was to try to get to a cinema. My cinema experience looks very different to most people's. I required a reclining chair. I required dark glasses, earplugs, and compression stockings. But I was like, if I can get a recliner, compression, block my ears, dark glasses, I think I can make it to a movie. I'd been able to build up to 2 minutes walk. So I was like, I'll get a lift to the cinema, I'll walk there, lay in the recliner, watch the movie, and get out. And I remember sitting at the cinema, only being able to walk 2 minutes with a walking stick, coming off a year being bedridden. And I remember just looking around the shopping center and watching people walk. And it was overwhelming for me because they were walking as if it was nothing. Like none of them knew, like none of them. And, it's not their fault, they've never had to, and I wouldn't have when I was well, but none of them knew what a gift it was every step they took. And it overwhelmed me, and I was like sitting there with tears because I thought, no one knows how incredible a gift that they have. And, it's like when you are like this and when you've lived like this, you can appreciate every step, and you can appreciate every moment that you can sit up and do a live video, and you appreciate seeing outside and getting outside. And when you're healthy, it's not that, you're unappreciative, but it's just so normal to you that you don't go outside and go, oh my gosh, a step, like what a blessing, oh, I'm breathing properly, what a blessing. Like, you wouldn't get anything done just walking around thinking that, but it does make you appreciate these really tiny things that, well, they're not tiny, but to a healthy person, they're tiny. But to us, it's like to watch people walking as if it was nothing. And I still marvel at that. Just, watching people walk down the beach as if it's nothing. It's the most beautiful thing to have. And, for our senses and just, anything that we can do, like movement, sitting up. Who appreciates sitting up if they're healthy? Not many people. But when I can sit up, even if I can't walk, that's something beautiful to me. A bird out the window, like a bug, like just there's things that I see that I wouldn't have seen before. So that's one, I think, beautiful thing about it, is that you see things that other people don't, and you can appreciate things that other people don't.
I love that. I think that's it's so important on so many different levels. And you keep making me tear up as we're talking here. Good tears.
Yeah.
So I think we'll go ahead and start to wrap it up because it's been about 40 minutes. And I just wanted to, do you mind if I read the last, where did it go? It's the last one in your book.
Whatever you want. Oh, yeah.
Or do you want to read it? Will you read it for us? Do you have it in front of you?
The
put you on.
last one before my brain quizzes.
Yes. Oh yeah, and that's another thing to bring up is that there are brain quizzes in there for brain fog days. I think that's brilliant.
Yeah. They were, I was saying to someone yesterday, because a lot of people have said they like those quizzes at the back. And I was very close to not putting them in there because I thought these are so silly. Like I did it as a bit of a joke. I made one as a joke and then I just kept going with it. And then I was like, I think people might be mad like at these. I don't know, I just had it in my head. I was like, maybe people be like, what is this rubbish at the back? But I've only had people like say positive things, and that's meant a lot to me because I they are different, and they're different, I guess, from what I've put on my page before. So I thought maybe people would be like, what is this? But so I'm so glad that people like them. But that one is that the
Yeah.
with all the different
Yeah.
people.
Oh,
So
okay, hold on
I
quickly. The FC says, I don't mean to brag, but I completed all those puzzles.
oh yes, I
Yeah.
I've genuinely had people message me, and I don't blame them, saying, "Oh, it took me a few minutes to do this one." So, but it's just like, it's like spot the difference. I'll show one. There's like the spot the difference one, and there's only one difference, and it's his missing letter C. But if you looked at this and you weren't noted, you'd be looking at the clouds, and you'd be like, is the cloud different? And then you'd finally and go, oh, geez.
Yeah.
So I can completely understand like missing them sometimes when you're like looking at the wrong thing. But I just wrote at the back of the book this thing with a bunch of people. Um, I just said, when life is tough and you feel your hope fading, when you search for a hero but none can be found, just look deep within and you will discover that the true superhero strength you need has been inside you all along. You are the chronic fatigue superhero. And that was really just based on the idea, like the chronic fatigue superhero, I guess, kind of looks like me, but it was never supposed to be me. It was just I just had this funny idea um, of a dude, and I just kind of drew what I knew, which I guess is probably looks like me. So people asked, is that you? And but it was never supposed to be me at all. I still don't kind of think that that's me. I feel like the chronic fatigue superhero looks like this because that's what I drew, but the chronic fatigue superhero is really everybody. It was never me. It was never someone specific. It is everybody, everybody that reads it, because it is based on that experience of people with this condition are really caring and empathic and want to give and want to help, but often they can't. So that's what this is. This book is you. This book is anyone that reads it. It's not me at all. It's just that will and that desire to help, but sometimes you can't.
Awesome. Awesome. So for all of y'all out there, if you don't have the book yet, definitely take a look at it. It's going to make you giggle. It's going to make you laugh out loud. Yes, Chronic Fatigue Superhero. You can go to Michael's bio in Instagram, and I think that there's a link there,
Yeah.
right, to get it. Yeah, so totally worth it. You're gonna look at those and go, oh yeah, like I get that one. I get that one. I get that one. Yeah,
Yeah.
very relatable.
That's another thing. I wanted people to laugh, but I also want people to not feel alone. And that's why I've tried to cover a lot of the aspects of the condition in there so that people can go, oh, that's me too. Or I thought that was just me. Like, thankfully, someone else, has gone through it or has said it. So I tried to
Yeah,
kind of cover every base, but there's a lot of symptoms. So yeah.
yeah, totally, totally. Becky says I need the stickers. What? Do you have stickers?
You can get stickers, yeah. I put some of the designs on Redbubble, just randomly if somebody wants them.
Oh my
Um, but yeah,
gosh!
you can pretty much get. They're not all uploaded, but I put a few up there. But I mean, if there's like a comic that anybody wants on a sticker or a poster, I can put it on Redbubble. You can always message me, and you can buy like your favorite comic as a sticker or poster or a book cover or T-shirt or whatever.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Well, Michael, anything else that you want to say or share with us or?
Um, I did just want to say I have a little thing coming up in a few weeks. on February 11th, which is my birthday, I'm going to be giving away something really cool for free to all my followers. There'll be a 48-hour period where you can claim it. It will be free. It's a surprise what it is. It's related to my book, but I can't give a copy of my book to everyone because that would be too expensive. But it's related to Chronic Fatigue Superhero. Everyone's going to get something for free, but for the people that have bought the book, they will get 3 things for free. So everyone gets something, but everyone who's bought my book gets 3 somethings. And they're actually all really cool, but they're a surprise.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Okay, February 11th.
February 11th, I'm going to be doing up a lot of stories about it. People can inbox me and just show me that they've bought the book. And on February 11th, they're going to get 3 really cool surprises because I want to give some birthday gifts instead of receiving them. I just thought, why not? So on my birthday, I'm giving out the gifts. Anyone who's bought my book gets 3 very cool things. And even if you haven't, and because I know some people can't for different reasons, you'll still get something really cool.
Amazing. Amazing. Michael, thank you so much for joining us. And yep, you totally said it, C or CJ. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you for everything that you do and for bringing some light to this very difficult illness.
Thank you. It's been good to be here.
Yeah. Bye for now and goodbye to everybody.
See ya. Thank you, everyone.